Learning Hilchos Shofar Peragim Halacha Ches. Shalosh brachos Tzoyos. The three middle brachos. Elu of these Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Shal Yovel, and of Yovel. Let's see the Peirush. These brachos were said on most of Rosh Hashanah at one time. It was said all day Rosh Hashanah, we'll see, but right, most of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim of Yovel. What are the three? Malchus, the coronation of Hashem as king, Zichronos, commemorating, bringing our memories before God. Shofar is blowing. Makovizu. They impede one the other. If he doesn't know all of them, he shouldn't make a bracha even on one of them. So Rosh Hashanah 34b. In the previous Halacha in Halacha 6, the Rambam said that the blowing impedes one another. Here he tells us that the blessings impede one another as well. It's all he has to say by each brocha. I saw psukim, 10 passages, meina brocha, dealing with the subject matter of the either kingdom, or memories, or blowings. Shloisha, 3 of these 10 passages are taken from the Torah, 3 from Ksuvim in the middle, not in the order of Torah and Nevi'im, Ksuvim, but 3 Torah, 3 from the writings, Shloishim and Nevi'im, 3 from the Nevi'im. The last one, and the Torah Mashlim Boy, where the 10th one is taken from the Torah. Ignore Yeshona 32a questions. Why do we have 10 psukim? Amarova says because the 10 halukas that David HaMelech said. Yosef Omar, because of the 10 Aseret HaDibros that said Moshe Messinai. Rabbi Yochanan said the 10 statements that the world was created on Rosh Hashanah. During the man was created on Rosh Hashanah. And also the word gracious is considered one of the 10. It is, as it says in Tehillim 33:6, with the words of Hashem, the heavens were created. We find a different text in the Yerushalmi Rosh Hashanah chapter 4, Halacha that the 10 passages are because the 10 praises that was said. The 10, that's the first part. That's the 10 passages of coronation. The 10 of commemoration is the 10 times that Yeshayahu said confession. Wash yourselves, take off your evil from on you, from in front of me. Chidlo hara, limdu heitev, dirshu mishpot. Stop the evil, burn well, derive mishpot, ishu chomutz, shoftu yosem, bivu elmono. So you see there's 10 warnings on how to deal with 10 items, which are repentance. Rachzu, wash yourself. Zaku, cleanse yourself. Siru, remove. Chadu, cease. Limdu, learn. Dirshu, derive. Issue, may correct. Shift, to judge. Take up the fight of the orphan. Go. For these are the 10 days of tshuva. So the 10 days of, and we have for the 10 passages of kingdom, commemoration, and blowing. The 10 of Shofar are for the 10 karbonos of Mosdos of Rosh Hashanah. 7 kvosim, which are always 7 sheep. The par, which represents Avram, which is always 1. The aisle of the soil, together, the aisle is Yitzhak, and the soil is usually the sin offering. And the words of Yerushalmi are brought in Rabbeinu Hananel on the side commentary in Rosh Hashanah Bavli 32a. The reason that we precede the writings before the prophets, even though the prophets are of a higher holiness than the writings, and therefore you can't place prophets on top of writings on top of prophets, as we find in Megillah 27a, 26a. Maimonides says that since you have to conclude the prophets, we'll start with the prophets first. When he'll forget to add the 10th passage, therefore he will conclude with the writings. He has to conclude with either the Torah or, if you have no other choice, from the prophets. Therefore, they said writings before you mention prophets. And if you forget, then you still fulfill your obligation because you concluded with prophets, even if you don't bring from the Torah the last passage. Now the answer of Maimonides says, because David HaMelech, who made the order of Tehillim, he preceded the prophets, many of them, and therefore the one who's ahead in time should precede those who are read. And that's what as we find the Rambam here, and even the Gemara that says writings, the Rambam mentions that we're talking only about Tehillim. And this was Emes or Rosh Hashanah on the Shas 32b writes that he doesn't know that you need only Tehillim. The Gemara it says Ksuvim, writings. It could be because we don't find coronation or commemoration or blowing only in Tehillim. And that's what Mosdos says in Rosh Hashanah 32a. Tehillim, Mishli Kodol Leviim, they preceded the prophets. It seems from the Mosdos that you can say Psukim of Mishli and Iyuv. Rae questions them why, if that's the case, we say only Tehillim. But here we can't go into detail in this short clarification. We can read the Peirush Rambam. Also, the Ran deals with this, and he writes in the name of Rabbeinu that was the tradition in our hands. That's the order. The Rambam, Maimonides, proves it from a brisa in Masechta Shofar by Tisha B'Av, that even everywhere writings precede Nevi'im. Here, Nevi'im precedes regarding Kedusha. It would seem that every place you would have writings before. Like the Goyim said, it's a tradition. The reason is, right, because you want to be able to go upwards. You don't go down. Therefore, we start off with Torah because that's definitely something that's in a Shemayim that precedes everything. And that's the world was created from it. And therefore, you continue with writings. It's in order to be able to go up to prophets. If you didn't have a passage from Torah to complete the 10th passage, you fulfill your obligation. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah. The Riv accords with his opinion, and since the Gemara says that only the people who were very humble or had a lot of mitzvahs, that's how Rashi explains Vatikan in Brochus 9b, would complete with Torah. Therefore, Rambam says to begin with you should do with Torah. After the fact, you can do it with the prophets. If you said only one passage from Torah of Echman and Suvim, one from the writings of Echman and Nevi'im, one from the prophets, Yotzo. And you know that to begin with, you have to do from each one 3. And you have to have a 10th one as well. And even if you just said in the Torah it's written, and he says Posek Shel Torah v'Hifsik, and you stop there, Shuvein Tzorach Klum. You don't need anything else. This is the opinion of Rav in Rosh Hashanah 35a. And Yeshua ben Levi says both individually or both in the public. Since he said it was a Hachazaka, he doesn't have to say any longer anything else. And so the right Rif quotes as well. And the Maggid Mishnah teaches that the Rambam explained that one pasuk of Torah is enough. The Maggid Mishnah questions. To begin with, you have to say 10 psukim. After, if you don't know the 10, you say one from Torah, one from writings, and one from prophets. It would seem you need 3. And here, the Rambam says even one pasuk is enough. So what is it? The answer, the Rambam learns that then in the Mishnah he said 3 of all of them is Yesodei. It means to say that one is enough. That 3 means not 3 of each, but 3 altogether. Then Machon Nesher and Shofar together you have 3 psukim. According to this, what the Rambam writes, if you said one pasuk from HaTorah and one from writings and one from prophets, you fulfill your obligation. He doesn't mean to say that in each section he said 3 psukim, one from Torah and one from Ksuvim and one from Nevi'im. But when he mentions one pasuk of Torah in each of the brachas, or one pasuk from the Ksuvim in each of the blessings, or one from the prophets in each of the blessings, that he concludes, even if you just said in your Torah it says, and he says one pasuk and he stops, after that he doesn't have to do any more. He doesn't mention that you have to say a pasuk from writings or from prophets, because to begin with, it's better from the Torah. There are many opinions in the explanation of the Halacha. It's enough to say vidi'o. In the words of the Goyim, it would seem like the Rambam. The Ramban in Iran say they have to say before that, and b'divrei kodshecha, before you say Torah, you say b'divrei kodshecha, just like we say before writings, and what we say also before the prophets, to your prophets, it was stated. And the novelty of Hanan is he doesn't have to mention any psukim, and not like the Rambam, it requires you to say at least one pasuk. There's actually the difference between Ashkenaz and Sfard and Musaf, that they don't mention the psukim of the Musaf, whereas it's mentioned that we find Musaf elucidated in the Torah. Regarding, if he says in each bracha one passage, the Torah writes, that you fulfill your obligation, even if everything together you don't come to 10 psukim. If he didn't say any passages, only in the Torah it's written, he fulfills his obligation. He means to explain the opinion of Rav. It's enough to say in the Torah it's written, because this way he included not only Torah but also prophets and writings. They're also called Torah, not like the Rambam, who says you have to say b'divrei kodshecha regarding the words of the writings of Tillim, and Hayidei regarding the prophets, the passages from the prophets. However, it's clear that if he started one pasuk of Torah, he has to say after that of writings and one of Nevi'im. But if he does not want to mention any passages, he can do so by saying it's as it's written in the Torah. So also this is found in the Yesodei in Rosh Hashanah 35a. The question, how could it be it's enough to say in the Torah it's written, even according to those who disagree that you have to say 3 of each? And Rabbeinu Tam answers that Tanoim disagreeing how much you're obligated to say only if you start to say passages. According to Danikama, not less than 10 in the order of each blessing of coronation, commemoration, and blowing. According to Rabbi Yochanan and Nuri, it's enough 3 psukim entirely. But when he doesn't mention any passages, it's enough to say it's as is written in the Torah. And there he has Torah, Nevi'im, Uksuvim, because they're also called Torah. When he says one pasuk, he shows that he doesn't want to include the other, either the prophets or the writings, and therefore he can't have less than the number of 3 or 10. Therefore, we can conclude that the early commentaries disagreed in Rav, according to the Maggid Mishnah in the Rambam. He comes to explain that even those who say 3 psukim is enough, if he said 3 in totality, 1 in Malchias and 1 in Zechronis and 1 in Shofar, he fulfilled his obligation. And according to Rabbeinu Hananel, you have to have only Psukei Torah. There are other early commentaries, and Hananel states that the disagreement is whether you need 10 psukim or 3. Is when he started to enumerate any passages of kingdom, memories, or blowing of shofar. But if he wants, he can fulfill his obligations when he says, in your Torah it states. Halacha, there's a disagreement of the commentaries in this very disagreement. According to the Maimonides, the Ran, the Smag, when he says he says in your Torah it's written, it helps only if he said Torah. But he has to say also, we find also in the writings and through your prophets, to, in a sense, allude to the passages that he doesn't remember. Going to Rabbeinu Tam, and the Torah codifies it, when he says, you don't have to say, mention or allude to the writings or the prophets because they are included in V'seiroscha. The minig is to say, Tem Psukim. Start with Torah, as he says, and he says 3 psukim of Torah, and then he says Godol, he says 3 of Ksuvim. He continues through your servants, the prophets. It's written. He says 3 of the prophets, and then he concludes in your Torah. It says he concludes with Torah. If he concluded with Navi, he fulfilled his obligation. So wrote the Rambam to do as a custom to begin with. The Ramah in 591 writes, if he didn't start off with any pose, he just said it was Shiurim because of Lema, it's enough. The reason why you say after the fact, the Rambam says, since in our times that we have 10 psukim, it became something like an obligation, and therefore it's an obligation. You have to say 10 psukim according to the minig. But Rashi explains, Rav is talking about the psukim that have to do with the offerings and musaf. That if in the prayer you mention in musaf, let us bring before you as you commanded us to do in the Torah, you don't have to say exactly what was commanded. Rashi cites that his master teachers taught him the words of Rabbi Hananel regarding these 3 blessings of Rosh Hashanah. He questions if Hananel doesn't have to mention any posuk. It doesn't seem to accord with any opinion of anyone in the Mishnah. Because according to the Chacham, you need 10. You need 3. So as Hananel will come and say, you don't have to mention anything. And therefore, Rashi learns that Hananel is talking about the words of Musaf. As was clarified, the Toys of the Rosh in the name of Rabbeinu Tam answers this question. Hananel says that the Mishnah, it means if you start to say passages, then you need to say either 3 or 10. Hananel is talking about when he didn't say anything at all. There, when he says in your Torah it's written, then you don't have to. You have to say passages of kingdom and commemoration and blowing. According to their opinion, the passages dealing with the offerings of Musaf you always have to mention, because they are in the place of offerings. It's not enough, you should say in your Torah it's written. Thus, we find that the Shita, the opinion of Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam, are exactly contradictory. According to Rashi, Malchi is the friends and Shofars. You cannot be fulfilled only if you say, if the passages, it's not enough, so you should say in the Torah it's written. But by Musaf, Hananel says it's enough to say what's written in the Torah without mentioning the exact number of offerings. It had to mention the passages. According to Rabbeinu Tam, it's the opposite. If you want to mention passages, you have to need 10. But otherwise you can say it's written in the Torah. Now Hananel says, however, when it comes to the offerings of Musaf, you must say what each offering is, because they're different in each of the festivals, each of the times. The Lechem Mishnah questions the Rambam from our order of prayers and from the order that he brings of the halachas of prayers in Sefer Hava. After the middle bracha of Musaf, he writes that people are accustomed in all the tefillos of Musaf, when they say, as it's written about regarding this in the Torah, through Moshe, you mention the offerings of that day as they're written in the Torah, and he reads those passages. If he didn't mention them, since he said, however, as it's written in Torah, then he fulfilled his obligation. So you see, like Rashi, Hananu is talking about Musafim, the passages dealing with the Korah Musaf. If you didn't mention them, you fulfilled your obligation. And the question comes up on the Magen Mishnah. He writes that the Rambam concluded his Halacha, that's enough to say one pasuk from Rabbi Hananu, that he's discussing according to Rabbi Yochanan, that you need 3 psukim, one for each of Malchus, Sochanos, and Shofars. In order to justify the explanation of the Magen Mishnah, the Lechem Mishnah wants to say what the Rambam writes. If he didn't mention the psukim of the musafim, of the extra offerings on Shabbos and the holidays, you fulfill your obligations. It's not because of Rabbeinu Hananu, because his words are only directed on kingdom, commemoration, and blowing. But he wrote from logic that the words of Musafim do not impede the prayer, because in the Gemara it doesn't mention you have to say the passages. And as the Rosh questions, the Rabbeinu Tam says you have to say the psukim. Where did he get it from? Thus, according to the Rambam, the position of the Rambam is halfway between Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. He explains that Rabbeinu Tam, the Rabbi Hananu is discussing Malchus, Sochanos, and Shofars, but Rabbeinu Tam is of the opinion that the passages of Musaf are necessary. If you don't say them, you haven't fulfilled your obligation. The Rambam disagrees and learns the Masorah logic and not like Rashi. That he explains that this is the opinion of Rabbeinu Hananu. In conclusion, the Magen Mishnah writes that if he wants to add more than 10 psukim, he may do so. The Goyim write that as well. And so we find it in the Torah in 591 in the name of the Avi Ezri. And he adds, the Rambam writes in the name of the Goyim, because they only mentioned you don't have less than 10. But if you want to have more, you may do so. The Ran cites proof you can add other psukim, even though they enacted to say 10, because we find in the Gemara Megillah 23 that 7 people have to get aliyahs, the Torah, have to go up to the Torah on Shabbos, and also the 6 they go on Yom Kippur. They did it in commemoration of something. And even though it says in the Mishnah, you don't have less than them, but you can add to them. So you see that even though they were enacted because of a certain reason, you can add. By Malchus, one can add upon them.